tonight about feminine products. And, before I usually come on and I do a little talk and I see how everybody's doing and seeing how your week was as I'm kind of setting everything up. So I would like to know where everybody was today for the solar eclipse. Did everybody see the solar eclipse? That would be interesting to find out if everyone saw it. Here in New York, I don't know, it wasn't that climatic. It was just, it wasn't that wonderful as much as I thought it would be. And unfortunately, I didn't have the little glasses thing, so it was okay. It got dark and the area got like a little cooler, but that's about it for here. So it was okay. It got dark and the area got like a little cooler. But that's about it. So that was my solar eclipse experience. I hope that everybody had a really good experience. I hope they got to see it. And again, as you know, Lori from Women's Health on the Go, we're going to be talking about feminine products tonight. But if you want to get reminders of the show, of the shows we're going to be having, and when we're going to be about to go live, make sure you give me a good yes below and say a good yes. And you'll get, hopefully, I'm trying to set this up and I'm working it, and hopefully then I'll be able to send you guys reminders of when the show is going to, what we're going to be having, and right before we're going to go live, you'll get like a little reminder. Hello, Dave. Welcome this evening. I hope that you enjoyed the solar eclipse today. And I don't know I know you're a bit south from here, so maybe you got to experience it a little bit better than I did, but hopefully you did. Welcome, Dave. We're going to be talking about feminine products tonight, so I'm not quite sure how long you want to stick around. But as I said, and I did a little feed at the end of last week, actually on my birthday, and I said, some guys, maybe you should watch this, because sometimes us girls have guys go over to the store and get us some feminine products. So it wouldn't be bad to stick around and see what it's all about tonight. So we still have a couple of minutes to go. As you know, I did just say I had my birthday on Friday. I had a great, wonderful weekend. I'm celebrating my I'm getting so young birthday. That's what I keep saying. Now I keep saying I'm getting younger. I turned 26. Not really. But that's what I'm thinking, that I turned 26. So, all right. So, I'm sorry my voice is a little raspy tonight, so I'm not quite sure. Hopefully I'll be able to get through it, because I've got a lot of things to talk about. A lot of things. So I think I see Brenda. I think Brenda may be on here. I think I just saw her. Say hello, Brenda. Hello. Say hello. Let me know that you're out there and that you're watching the show. And again, hopefully my voice will be okay. I've got a lot of notes. Yes, hey there, Brenda. I'm glad to see you on here. We're going to be talking about feminine products, and I've got a lot to say. I've got a lot of show notes. I did a lot of research on regard to this, so hopefully it's going to be a really kind of good show. I've got lots of information about tampons, pads, feminine products, and also then some good other alternative ways that we can, things that we can use instead of that stuff, because I personally I'm going to be talking about menstrual cups and cloth pads and stuff, and organic, like cotton organic pads, tampons, not bleached, and all this kind of stuff. So make sure you stick around. Of course, if you can't stick around, don't about, Linda, I see you too. I see you there. Hey, Linda. Hello. Great to see you too. So if anybody that's here wants to receive reminders of what our next week's show is, or that you'll get a message saying, hey, we're about to go live, make sure you give a good yes down below, and hopefully I've set it up properly and you'll be getting reminders. So Hopefully I did that right. I'm trying, everybody, every day I'm trying something new and getting things going so that I can inform you guys a lot better and have you updated with everything. So to make sure that you're here with us, showing, watching the show. Vanessa. Hey, Vanessa. Welcome to the show, everybody. All right, so on my clock, I have 8 o'clock, so I'm going to get started. Hello, everyone. Lori from Women's Health on the Go, where we connect you to women's health services via video streams. And we can also offer you conventional treatments, but also natural. I do consultations on essential oils and herbal medicine and lots of lifestyle changes. So if you want to go over to the website, you can see womenshealthonthego.com. But tonight, we're doing our show. And if you want to get reminders of the show, what we're going to be doing next week, and when we're going live, give a yes below. But tonight we're going to be talking about feminine products. And the reason why I wanted to do this show is because, one, a lot of people ask me about what are the best kind of feminine products for them to use, but also because I think that a lot of people don't realize that these things are not the best thing for us. And really not. If you think about, you know me, I'm always talking about women's health and the health of our beautiful vaginas and making sure they stay healthy. And we really need to think about what we're using with our periods, or when we're not feeling so fresh, because these things are not necessarily the best things for us to be using. So first, I'm going to talk about tampons and pads, and then we're going to go into feminine products. And all of this stuff is just general kind of information. I don't talk about any certain brands or anything like that. What I'm hoping is that, one, it's going to spark your mind, but now that you're going to be like looking at that product and looking at the box and going, okay, what's in this product? Although you're going to soon find out that there are loopholes and they don't necessarily have to tell us everything that's actually in these products that we're using. Okay, some statistics. And you know what, I have to tell you that this, when I was doing research for this show, some of these statistics kind of blew my mind as well. Okay, when we think about how many periods we have, on an average, if you take, the amount of years that we have our period, maybe around 13 to about 51, and, people who are having children, not having children, we will have approximately 456 periods in our lifetime, okay? And that comes out to, I think the bleeding time comes out to 6.25 years of our life. And during that time, we will use anywhere from 12,000 to 16,000 pads/tampons. Oh my goodness. And that 70% of us will actually be using tampons. Now, most of the stuff when I talk about the tampons, when I'm talking about what tampons are made out of and stuff like that, it's the same kind of products that are kind of made of the pads, but for the most part, a lot of stuff I'm going to be talking about is actually with tampons, okay? And the tampon industry is about $718 million a year in the U.S. alone. So, crazy business. When we look at the history of tampons, as much as we know, we go to the store and we buy tampons, women have been being creative and been trying to do something when we get our periods for years and years and years. Now we look at the ancient Romans, they used wool to catch the urine. In Africa, they actually did rolls of grass. In Hawaii, they used fern. So, women got really creative when trying to handle our periods, which I think is pretty amazing. But then again, I think women are amazing as well. So, but let's talk about tampons a little bit more here. And the one thing that I want to start off with is, and a lot of people will probably have heard about TSS, which is toxic shock syndrome, okay? And most of the people don't realize that toxic shock syndrome still exists. Now, it it was more prevalent, a long time ago. And basically what toxic shock syndrome, for some reason I'm having a problem saying that, it's like a tongue twister for me, it's a life-threatening complication that happens from a bacterial infection that you get. You can actually get, I'm going to call it TSS because it's a little bit easier for me. You can actually get TSS if you're not using tampons, but the majority of the people who do get it are using tampons. But there was a researcher, his name was Tierno. I'm sorry if you are the scientist watching this and I mutilated your last name, I'm so sorry. But there was a scientist who actually figured out that what was causing women to get TSS during their periods was there was a certain synthetic fiber that was being used to produce the tampons, and it's basically this synthetic fiber able to create like super absorbency. Like you ever see those tampons that say, oh, they're super absorbent. Well, they are super absorbent because they're using certain synthetic fibers that are used, and they were found that these synthetic fibers, certain ones of them, were putting women at a higher risk of developing TSS. Now, when we talk about TSS, it's important to realize that it still exists today. Women still do get it, okay? I'm going to look down at my piece of paper here because there are some statistics that I want you to know, okay? Typically, it will happen in women that are under 30. It is 60% of the time when it is fatal, because a lot of times it's life-threatening. This is a fatal infection that can happen. 60% of the time, the people that happen to, they are 15 to 24 years of age. It's very, very young, okay? Now, you may not think the statistic is high, but 1 in 100,000 will end up getting TSS. And about almost 2% of the time, it's going to be fatal, okay? Now, maybe those statistics don't sound too bad. I mean, they're a lot better than what they were prior to having that synthetic fiber in them. But it still exists today. And the risk is one, using these high absorbency tampons, which there is one rayon. So that Tierney guy, the scientist, they still use a rayon called viscose rayon. And the scientist who figured out originally what synthetic fibers were causing it, he says that, he's like, they're still using viscose rayon in tampons. And he goes, well, that's the best out of the 4 of them, but it's still not good, okay? So, yes, it's a little bit less and it's, a little bit better, but it's still not a good synthetic fiber to be having in our tampons, and they're in our tampons. So I think that's really important to know. Now, when it comes to TSS, because I keep forgetting, I'm going to mess up that word all the time. When it comes to TSS, most of the time, diagnosis is made on basically symptoms, which could be fever, sore throat, diarrhea, vomiting, abdominal pain, drop in blood pressure, fatigue. And women you can die from this. This is life-threatening. You can die within the first couple of days, and you can, even after you've been getting treatment, stuff like that, you can die up to 2 weeks after being diagnosed with this. So it's pretty, to me, it's a good reason. Maybe people still want to use tampons, and I totally understand that. But then absolutely make sure that, look at the ingredients, see what's kind of going there. We're going to go over some other ingredients that are not the best in tampons, but look to see if it has that viscose rayon in it. Make sure that you change your tampon. Now, the recommendation is usually every 4 to 6 hours. Make sure that you do it every 4 hours. Another risk factor that was found is that sometimes women, okay, so I'm talking to a lot of women out there. I know that I have done this in the past. I have my period, but yet I'm on that last day, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be having a little spotting. and I really don't want to wear a pad, so I just put a tampon in there, well, bam, that is a higher risk of developing TSS. So you don't want to do that. And then also the risk is, again, with the changing it every 4 to 6 hours, maybe going towards the 4 hour, but the prolonged use of using one tampon. So if you're going to use tampons, make sure you change them regularly and make sure that you do not use them after you're bleeding. Such I did a long time ago. I am just as guilty. So, and I understand because I've been there, done that. Okay, so let's talk about, that's one risk that is associated with tampon use. Now I want to just talk about things that our tampons and pads are made out of that are not the best for our beautiful vaginas, okay? So, one, non-organic cotton, okay? Now, let's think about cotton. Let's think about the majority of foods that we eat. They all got pesticides on them. And, let's think of inside the vagina for a second, okay? It is mucous membrane. It's not like the thick skin on here. The skin inside the vagina it's super absorbent. It just pulls everything on in, okay? And when you're using tampons that might not be organic, they're using that non-organic cotton, they've had pesticides in them, okay? Now, there is a pesticide called, and I may mutilate this too, diuran. Hopefully that's how I pronounce it. But anyway, that has been linked a likely carcinogenic in humans and of cause of birth defects. And you're putting it right inside your vagina, right near your reproductive organs. That doesn't sound too good, does it? And then we already had talked about the viscose rayon. We already talked about that. And then let's talk about bleach. Sometimes, when you get that tampon, it's nice and white. Well, how did it get white? It turns white because they put it through a bleaching and disinfectant process. And that process produces a trace of what we call dioxin. Now, let's talk about dioxin for a minute. Okay, dioxin is a synthetic rayon, which this is really bizarre to me, but this is, it's made from sawdust, which is really, really, really mind-boggling to me, I guess the word is, okay? And so there's a synthetic rayon. I'm sorry, let's go back a little bit. So there's a synthetic rayon that's made from sawdust, and a byproduct of that is the dioxin. I'm sorry, okay? So you have this synthetic rayon that's used in there, which could be different than the viscose rayon, and it is actually made from sawdust, and a byproduct is this dioxin, okay? It has been known as a likely carcinogen. And the FDA, now this is interesting, and this is what this, I was reading this article from the scientist, the Dietierno, the one who found about the synthetic fibers that were linked to the TSS. Now, the FDA says that dioxin in trace amounts is not much of a concern, right? Because it's only like a little trace amount, people. So don't worry about it. But let's think about a woman. Let's go back to those statistics. 456 periods, 12,000 to 16,000 tampons in a lifetime. And if you think about your period is anywhere from 3 to 7 days, that's typically, I would say, the average, right? And you're changing your tampon, 4, 5, 6, 7 times a day? So there's this thought process that, yeah, one tampon has a little trace amount, but it's going directly inside the vagina. Mucous membrane is getting completely directly absorbed into the bloodstream, into your reproductive organs, and is an accumulation of it. So every time you put in, you're putting another trace amount, you're putting another trace amount, you're putting another trace amount. And over time, this is not the best thing to be putting into our vaginas. So hopefully that kind of made sense when it came to dioxin. Okay? So that's that. All right, I talked to you about the pesticides. I talked to you about the bleaching process, which is a disinfectant, which also the chlorine, there's a byproduct of that is also can be dioxin as well, which could be reproductive and development impairment, okay? So that's when it comes to tampons, okay? And the pads too. I mean, the pads are made of this stuff. I mean, there are just being kind of touched on the outside, but they do, as compared to tampons, that actually go in and are a little bit more direct route to our reproductive organs. But I think that these things are, we need to think about this stuff. We need to think about what is actually being put into our vaginas. And I don't know if I mentioned this already yet. The FDA, I don't think I mentioned this. Now, when it comes to tampons and pads, the FDA has, I don't know what the word is, but they are considered medical devices, okay? This is where the loophole is, okay? A medical device, if it's a medical device, the company doesn't have to disclose all of the chemicals that are being used in that product. So these are the things that I've talked about tonight about tampons, and these ingredients that I've spoken to are ones that we know. But there's other things that we don't know. Like especially when pads are made where they have fragrance, right? Well, what is that fragrance? What is it made of? What kind of chemical component? We don't know. And they do not have to, legally, they do not have to disclose that to us. I mean, to me, that's a concern. I definitely think that we as women need to think about these things. And that's what I'm always doing. I'm always just trying to spark your memory. I'm not your memory. I'm trying to spark your imagination to get you to think outside the box and maybe to say, you know what, maybe, should I be using tampons? Should I not? You know what, I heard what Lori said. Let me do a little bit more research on my own. And that's really what I would love that all of my shows do. So if I'm sparking that brain, give me something down below, a little thumbs up or something. Do some kind of little mark down below, just so I know that you're all still awake. We're all getting, our brains are getting sparked. So, okay, let's talk about feminine products now, okay? Now, I'm sorry, let's go back a little bit. I'm so into all this other kind of stuff, I forgot. I need to give you a solution for tampons and pads. All right, so a solution. There's a couple of solutions, and I got some samples too. All right, so one sample that, now one is going to the store, and I know, I think it's called Nature Cure. There's a couple of companies like Seventh Generation. I know it was Nature Cure, and there's another one that they produce tampons with organic cotton, non-bleach. They don't have any kind of chemicals in them and stuff like that. So you can always go the organic route, which unfortunately can be pretty expensive, and especially every month when you're going to be doing your period and you got to change your pad and all that kind of stuff. That can kind of be expensive to do. So other things that you can do is, I've got the Diva cup here. One thing is doing a menstrual cup, okay? Now I know this may look a little oh my gosh, you want me to put that inside your vagina? Yes, I do. So this is what we call a menstrual cup. It's made from silicone, surgical grade silicone. It is, when you're done with your period and stuff like that, you can actually boil it. And there's actually been some research to show that even if you boil it, it's not emitting any kind of chemicals or anything that's going to be harmful to your vagina, okay? So basically what you do is, this is a cup. It goes, you got to kind of squeeze it. You got to feel comfortable of going in there, girls. So you put it inside, and it basically just goes right over your cervix, and the blood just flows right into the cup. The great thing about this is, unless you have very heavy periods, you may have to change it a little bit more. But how often do you have to change a tampon? Every 4 to 6 hours? Every 12 hours, ladies. How awesome is that? Because this actually holds more blood than your tampon does. So you can. So to me, this is like a kind of great little thing for when you're going out. You know, you don't have to worry about, oh, I got to put my tampons in my purse, and, you know, and I got to make sure that I have a place to go to the bathroom. Basically, you can go out and you don't have to worry about it. If you're out for 8 hours, you don't have to do anything. Yay! Okay, so menstrual cups. I have a Diva cup. There's lots of other kinds of, I think there's a Luna cup. There's lots of different other ones. They are great. I highly recommend them to my patients all of the time, especially women who have reoccurring vaginal infections and issues, because using tampons can put you at risk for developing infections and stuff. So I always, I highly recommend these. And you do have to feel a little, you do have to feel comfortable. You have to feel comfortable of putting this inside the vagina. You have to feel comfortable pulling it out. And sometimes in the beginning, you have to kind of work with it. I typically recommend patients to using it on a weekend. That way, if you're home, or even whatever time, if you're home for a day or two, and also to just wear like some kind of mini pad in the beginning, just in case you have leakage, because once you get the hang of it, it's a very easy thing to do. And these things can last up to 10 years. Okay, they cost about it depends on where you get it, but around $20 to $30, and you don't have to buy any tampons after that, and it's good for up to 10 years. You just got to make sure that you take care of it. It comes with a little cup, carrying bag and stuff like that. Okay, so we've got organic tampons and pads. We've got a Diva cup, and then there's people that use. Now, some people use they get actual bigger. If you go on YouTube. I was amazed this is years ago, when I was trying to figure out what I'm going to do. There's people who they have like a YouTube video of all of the different pads that they have. It's mind-boggling. But anyway, these are cloth pads. These are like just mini pads, right? And I know that sometimes people are like, oh my God, they're reusable. They are usable. You know, this was organic material that it was made out of. You can go to Etsy. Lots of places nowadays are selling these. And you just clean them. And, you know, personally, put it out there. I use my Diva cup and I use these, you know, and typically for me, I'm not nothing really too much is going on here because I'm using the Diva cup. But there's people who use cloth pads for their whole period. And they just, if you thought about it, if you think about it, a long time ago, this is what they were using, people, and they just cleaned them and everything was fine. Nothing was wrong at all. So those are your alternatives to using tampons and pads. Going completely organic, which could be a little costly, or going for your Diva cup, or they even have cloth pads for every size, even nighttime ones and everything, okay? So, all right, Brenda. Brenda's saying, I've had clients who've used this product that totally love the Diva cup. See, Diva cups are awesome, totally awesome. I absolutely highly recommend them. There is another menstrual cup, which, I'm going to show you. I got a sample of it, but the only reason why I don't recommend this is because it's not reusable. And this is another kind of menstrual cup that you can use. It's I don't know it. This is disposable. If you didn't want to use this is probably a little bit healthier for you as compared to using a tampon, but it's still disposable, because the one thing that we do want to think about is our environment, okay? Now, all of these tampons and pads, okay, you have applicators. The applicators have to go in the trash. They're made of plastic. They're made of they've got I can never say that word. It's like phthalates or something like that in there, which is not good for the environment. It's not good for our vagina. Now, there's how much, it's not really going to be in your vagina that often when you're using an applicator. But did I think I mentioned that women, when they use tampons and pads in their lifetime, will put 250 to 300 pounds of garbage in the landfill. So those are things that we should be thinking about too. Where is all this garbage going to? Where more people are being born, more garbage is being produced. We got to think about Mother Earth, Mother Gaia. She's beautiful, and we got to make sure that we take care of her. Hi, Fiona. How are you? So glad to see that you're here. We're talking about feminine products. We just got done talking about tampons and pads, and now we're going to go to feminine products. Now, when I'm talking about feminine products, I'm going to generally talk about ingredients that are found in feminine products. I was going to try to break it down, but there are so many feminine products, so many different brands. Like, I was just going to be like, oh, well, this is in this, this, and this. It was just too much, okay? So what I want this whole conversation for you to do is, if you are going to use any of these vaginal products, these feminine products, make sure you read the box. You should not be using any of these feminine products whatsoever at any time and at any point. That's my first recommendation. Your vagina is the best thing in the world. It has its own bacteria in there, good bacteria that fights off infections for you, and it keeps it healthy, and it keeps it everything status quo in there. When you start using these feminine products, you're disrupting that whole ecosystem that's down there, and you are going to put yourself at a higher risk of getting infections, irritation, and when we go into the ingredients, you're probably not going to be too happy you're using any of this stuff, okay? You should not be using any of these products whatsoever, okay? Whatsoever. That's why I'm going to start off with feminine products. But I am going to talk about the ingredients that are found in the most common douches, feminine sprays, feminine washes, feminine wipes, and sprays, and powders, okay? Now, these ingredients are found in there. Okay, I got so many notes here. I love doing this stuff. I love doing the research for you guys. This is really a lot of fun. Okay, so I'm just going to talk about some of the products, ingredients that are found, and why they're no good. No bueno. No bueno. Okay. All right. Now, some products have glycerin in them. Okay. Now, glycerin is found even also in, I didn't even look up lubricants, actually, which that would have been a little bit more information for you guys. But glycerin is also found in lubricants, and they're also found in some feminine products. What is glycerin? Sugar. What loves sugar? Yeast. You're not going to want to do those, because you're not going to want, you're just feeding the yeast beast, which I'm coming out with a book about real soon. Okay, so that's, to me, glycerin is probably the most non-harmful ingredient in regards to a lot of what we're going to talk about, carcinogens, toxicity, and all that kind of stuff. But it is going to, we all have candida in our bodies, and when we have an overgrowth of it, that's when we start having symptoms. So, and yeast likes glycerin, like sugar, glycerin, sugar, yeast. No good. Okay? All right, so there's isobutane. Isobutane is organ system toxicity. It's an irritant. It's just something that would really irritate you. You gotta also just remember, every time when I'm talking about this stuff and I'm talking about the vagina, just think about it's a mucosal membrane. It's highly absorbent. It's gonna just, whatever you put in there is just gonna pull right in there. Okay? Tocophenol acetate, okay, is a skin irritant. It's an it's toxic to the environment, especially with accumulation. And with high doses, can cause tumor growths. Now, again, I'm going to go back. Like, when you're using any of these products, I mean, you're probably just either using a spray or just using one wipe, but is this stuff actually accumulating in our body? If you keep using, like, say, feminine wipes every day after you go to the bathroom or whatever it is that you're doing, are you having this accumulation down there? And are you putting yourself at a higher risk? Okay? I know I'm going to mutilate some of these words, so I'm very sorry about that. So, oxynol number 9. Now, we know that it's, used on some condoms, okay? But this is something that also is used. Now, I'm thinking about, this stuff is in some feminine products, and then this stuff is also found in hair coloring bleaching dyes, acne medication, nail fungal and medications. I mean, I don't know. Just to me, I just think to myself, my poor girly parts. You know, if I'm putting this stuff in there and it's also being used in these other products, that's not really good. This is mostly found in douches. It can cause skin irritation. Sorry. It can be an endocrine disruptor, and it can be it's an environment toxin. And when you look at like the National Institute of Health, they have over 16,000 research studies that have been done on the toxicity of oxynol number 9. Do I need to say any more? I hope I don't. Okay, parabens. Now, I think that a lot of you guys know about parabens. Parabens are found in a lot of products, lotions and shampoos and all that kind of stuff. And it's a known carcinogen. It can cause, it's known to cause changes that cause cancer. Okay, and these are in our feminine products? No. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, we don't want this stuff. There's actually there are people out there that are trying to, what they call detox the box. And there's actually a Democratic representative from New York that has presented legislation 9 times since, I think it was 99 or 97, to actually make companies tell us what are in their products, and to have the National Health Institute, the NIH, to actually research and look at the effects that these chemicals and these products that they put into this, that actually, how do they affect our bodies? How do they affect our reproductive organs? How do they affect our girly parts? How do they affect the rest of our body? And it hasn't been passed. What? Craziness. All right, then we have polyoxymethylene urea, okay? It's a formaldehyde releaser. Does anybody out there know what formaldehyde is? Formaldehyde they actually use when they embalm a person when they're dead. It's no good. Why do we want to be putting this stuff inside our girl? I don't know. It's a known human toxin. In accumulation, it's able to accumulate in the body, and apparently it's safe in cosmetics, but with lots of limitations. I wasn't able to go really too far into that, but I don't know. Anything that you're telling me that is a formaldehyde releaser, that's not really something that I want to put down into my girly parts. Just saying. Okay, benzocaine. Okay, Canada has banned and found it unsafe for cosmetic use. But yet we here in the U.S., hey, let's put it in our feminine products. Not good. It's also found in like anti-itch creams, fungal nail treatment. This is just, I don't know. I'm just saying that these are the things that are found in our feminine products. And this is I just touched on a few of them. Another FDA rule, okay? The FDA does not regulate, that's the word. The FDA does not regulate feminine products. So there's no rules and regulations when it comes to feminine products. They actually trust the companies to self-police and to make sure that they're using the right stuff. Okay? Now, is that really happening? That's why there is a website by the Environmental Working Group. It's called Skin. If you do a Google search of Environmental Working Group, Skin Deep, you can look up lots of things. Shampoos, conditioners, suntan lotion, cosmetics, and you can look up your brand name, and then it's going to tell you all the products in there, and it's going to be like, either it's green, it's not, there's no research that shows that there's any toxicity, and then it's going to start going, to yellow, to orange, to red. Now, some of these feminine products are not on there, but what I did is I actually took I just took the back of a box, of a douche box, and looked at the ingredients and then put some of them in there. Feminine products, and just put some of them in there. And that's where I found a lot of this information. And then I found it also in there's lots of articles out there in regard to this stuff. So the FDA, the feminine products, they're not required to disclose their ingredients. They're not legally required to do really anything except for self-police themselves. So, this is something that I think that we as women should really pay attention more to. Just because there's a commercial out there, just because it's on the shelves at the store, it doesn't necessarily mean it's good for us. I mean, they sell cigarettes. Now, have you seen any research out there that shows that cigarettes is good for us? They sell it. It doesn't mean that it's necessarily good for us. And that's the same thing when it comes to feminine products. It comes the same thing with tampons, with pads. We as women, we've got to really think about what we're using on our girly parts, and maybe not use this stuff. What did I see? The feminine products. Feminine products, it's in the billions. It's a $1 billion industry. I mean, it's even more than tampons and pads because people are using that every day. I have people that tell me like, oh, I use the feminine wipes every day or I spray down there every day. If you don't smell good, then what's going on? That's all. What's actually going on? Okay? Do you have an infection? And that's what you need to kind of figure out. We all emit a certain, we emit odor, okay? But it's very healthy and very good for us. I know that I probably have told you this before, and I'll tell you this again. There was actually research done on our moves, but also on our odor. So what they did is, I know this is going to sound kind of weird, but what they did is they took men and somehow they had this gas mask, like it looks like a gas mask, stuff like that, but somehow they had the odor of a woman. How they did this, I have no idea. I don't remember. But they would smell women at certain times of their month and stuff like that, and they were finding that the natural odor that a woman emitted during ovulation was actually very arousing to men. We don't realize what our bodies are really doing every month. The man is always, he doesn't realize it, but he is on the hunt sometimes. He'll be like, ooh, that girl's moving more because her moves when she's dancing, when she's ovulating, are going to be more sexual as compared to any other time of the month. And the man's going to he doesn't realize it, but he's seeing that. And then also women give off a certain odor at certain times of the month because it's like, hey baby, I'm on the prowl. Whether you want to get pregnant or not, your body wants to get pregnant. So it's out on the prowl, it's moving, and you're giving off a beautiful odor that everyone is covering with summer breeze, paradise island, all these different odors that they have in feminine products. Don't do that. The best thing you can do for your vagina is leave it alone. If you want to clean it, like a little water on it down there, that's fine. You don't need to do anything. You do not need to be doing douches. You don't need to be doing anything on the outside. The vagina is the best thing in the world. It takes care of itself. So please, ladies, leave her alone. Let her do her job. She's highly intelligent just like you are. Let her do what she does best. Take care of her parts and make sure that they're beautiful and ready for whenever you're ready to get frisky or get pregnant. So, I can keep going on and on all night about this stuff, but as you know, always my shows are about opening your mind, opening it up a little bit more to see a different side of things. I hope that this show, if anything, taught you a little bit about feminine products, about tampons, pads, and all this other feminine garbage that's out there. And maybe it'll change your mind on using something different. Of course, if you have any questions, you can always comment below. You can reach out to me on the page. Or you can always make an appointment with me too, because I can talk to you for a long time about lots of different things. Because I love talking to women about their health and how they can be healthy and beautiful and naturally and holistically as possible. So make sure that if you want to get reminded of what our show is going to be next week and when we're going to be going live, make sure you comment yes below. If you comment yes below, then you're going to be put, I'm hoping, I've set the system up, but you're going to be put onto a system where you'll get reminded a couple days before of what show we're going to be doing this week. And then when we're just about to go live, you'll get like a little reminder like, hey, we're going live for our show. So make sure that you comment a big yes below if you want those reminders. And next week, I'm going to be doing a little bit of something different with the show. Not too much different, but I think that what I'm going to be doing is maybe once a month or every so while, I want to take an essential oil and I want to have a whole half an hour conversation about it, about everything about it, so that you can learn about it. You can learn how it can help you with your women's health issues. So next week, we're going to be talking about lavender essential oil. So if you want to make sure that you want to get reminded of next week's show, make sure you get a big yes in the comment box below. Okay? Thank you so much, everyone, for watching the show. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope it, again, sparked your mind. And I will see you next week. Take care, everybody. Have a great week.